Ghana President Nana Akufo-Addo called for unity at his swearing-in ceremony on Thursday after an acrimonious election that culminated in a fight on the floor of Parliament. Akufo-Addo was declared the winner of last month's election with just over 51% ahead of former President John Mahama. Soldiers entered Ghana's parliament overnight to break up a scuffle between rival lawmakers at odds over the December election. The fight in parliament started when one MP from the president's new patriotic party, the NPP, snatched some of the paper ballots during an overnight vote to determine the House Speaker. Akufo-Addo promised to boost growth, bringing electricity to all, build more roads, achieve universal free healthcare. His victory followed a vote tarnished by violence in which 5 people were killed, a rarity for a country that has a reputation as being one of West Africa's most stable democracies. Mahama's party has said that it will contest the results in court, alleging fraud, though it has not yet published any evidence. Last month's elections left a hung parliament without a dominant party to push through the appointment of Speaker and other key posts. Well, to tell us a little bit more about this story, we're now joined from Accra by the editor of the Finder newspaper, Elvis Darko, and he joins us via Zoom. Elvis, thanks very much indeed for joining us. And the scenes that we saw in Ghana's parliament to vote for a speaker, unprecedented, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's unprecedented in the Fourth Republic, and this happened because for the first time in the Fourth Republic, which started in 1993, we are having a situation where 2 people have to be voted for to determine who becomes the Speaker of the House. From 1993 till now, we had a situation where the party that wins the presidency has a majority straight in parliament, and therefore the president nominates who should be the speaker, and that person alone is voted for to become Speaker of Parliament. However, the last election that we held on December 7th, it turns out that out of the 275 members of Parliament, based on the final results released by the election management body, the NPP has 137 seats, and the NDC also has 137 seats, with 1 independent candidate. And therefore, there's no straight majority by any of the parties in the parliament. They have equal seats. So for the first time, the NDC decided that they will not let the party that won the presidency alone present a candidate to be voted for as speaker. So then the opposition party, with the NDC, also nominated a candidate to also contest the one nominated by the president as speaker. So then we had a situation where the parliamentarians have to vote for 2 people to determine who then becomes the Speaker of the House. As a result, there was real tension in the House during the vote. And as you rightly said, there were a lot of tension to the extent that a member of parliament had to snatch ballot papers from the clerk when the counting was going on to determine who actually won. And the minority MPs, which from the NDC, have to chase him and arrest him and try and take the ballot paper from him. This is the first time such an incident has happened in Ghana's parliament. We have had the debates in parliament that have been heated in the past, but for the first time, we've seen situations that we've never seen before in our parliament in Ghana, and that came as a big surprise to many. And therefore, throughout the day, it has been the major issue for discussion in the country. The fact that members of parliament, which we believe that should know better, have engaged in something that we see as not civil. And therefore, the people of Ghana have condemned the act today to the extent that many are demanding an apology from the parliamentarians, because we believe that this news story has gone global and has tainted Ghana's image. And therefore, the people of the country are demanding that the members of parliament from both sides should offer an apology for what has happened and should never repeat it again in the history of this country.
So is there a speaker now? And did that independent person have a casting vote, as it were?
Yes, there is a speaker now. And for the first time, we are having a speaker that is coming from the opposition party. So the speaker whose name is Alban Bagbin, has served in Ghana's parliament for the past 28 years. He has been in parliament since the beginning of the Fourth Republic, 1993, till the last election that he decided not to stand for elections again. So he has been in parliament for the past 28 years, but decided not to contest in the last elections. And therefore, the NDC put him up as their best bet to fight the candidate that was presented by the president. And at the end of the day, the candidate presented by the president had 136 votes, and the NDC candidate has 138 votes. And then there was one rejected ballot. So it turned out that for the first time in the Fourth Republic, we are going to have a Speaker of Parliament that is not coming from the governing party, but rather is coming from the opposition party.
So what dynamic will play out then in Parliament to have the opposition having them as their Speaker and the President's party not quite ruling with a free hand, because they will always be outvoted if this independent candidate votes with the opposition?
Well, the independent candidate had actually had a press conference that when it comes to matters and issues to vote, he will vote in support of the NPP because he is an NPP candidate. And during the primaries in the NPP, certain things went on that he wasn't happy about, so he decided to go independent. So after the elections, he actually had a press conference to declare that since he belongs to the NPP, he will vote in support of NPP in the House. However, we are unable to determine which party is the majority or the minority in the House now, because both NDC and NPP have 137 seats each. So as we speak today, we cannot say that NDC is majority or NPP is majority. Therefore, it is new to us because from 93 to today, we always have the situation where we know that this party is the majority and this party is the minority. However, there is one seat that is in contention now, where the candidate which stood actually was a Canadian citizen. And by the laws of Ghana, we don't allow dual citizens to represent us in parliament. It turned out that there is a challenge in court now that at the time he filed to contest the election, he had not successfully renounced his nationality as a Canadian citizen. And this is not the first time we are having this incident. We had a similar incident in the past where an NPP member of parliament also engaged in a similar thing. He ended up going to jail for 2 years and lost the seat as well. And therefore, the NPP is now challenging the legality of that candidate as the NDC's member of parliament for that seat. A court has actually granted an injunction against that member of parliament, and the actual case will be heard. In the event that the NPP succeeds in that case, it means that that seat will now be vacant for a by-election. In the event that NPP is able to win that seat now, then the NPP may become a majority in parliament. But until that happens, Ghana does not have a majority or a minority in parliament. We have the two major parties having equal seats in parliament, and this is the first time that this has happened in Ghana's democratic process in the Fourth Republic, which started in the year 1993.
All right, and I suppose the test will come when the lawmakers have to pass some legislation. Just who that independent candidate will vote for, despite what he may have said.
Yes, and that is a very challenging incident for the government in power, because by Ghana's constitution, the president is supposed to appoint 50% of all ministers from parliament. And we know that when these ministers are appointed, because of their schedules and what they have to do, in this Fourth Republic, it is always the case that you will see more of the minority MPs in parliament compared to the majority which is in government. And therefore, for the first time, we are having a situation where the president is going to appoint 50% of his ministers from parliament. And these ministers, some of them may be outside the country on official duties at a time that the government may want a certain bill to be passed. In the event that the NDC is not in support of that bill, then that is going to be difficult for the government. And we are looking to see how the government is going to be able to deal with this kind of situation, because we have had a situation in the past where whether NDC or NPP, once they have absolute majority, when they send bills to parliament and the opposition even complain, they just use their numbers to push the bill through. So we actually have coined a term called the rubber stamp parliament for our parliament in Ghana for some time now. But for the first time, it appears that we are not going to have the rubber stamp parliament. If the government really wants a bill to pass through, it means it has to work hard to convince members of the opposition. And two, it will have to make sure that every single member of parliament who is a minister of state will have to be available in parliament to vote on that bill. And this is one of the biggest tests that the government faces in the next 4 years.
All right, so it looks like democracy is alive and well in Ghana. Elvis Darko, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Always great talking to you. Medasi.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, that's Elvis Darko, who's editor of the Finder newspaper, talking to us about developments in Ghana. There was a real fight in Parliament in Ghana. Can you believe it? Yeah. One of the disgruntled party members, MPs, stole the ballots, ran away out of Parliament with them. They did catch up with him, got the ballots back, and there is a speaker. And as you heard, for the first time ever, both the opposition and the party president, the president's party, have equal number of seats in Parliament, and just one independent candidate who probably will swing either way. Who knows? We'll see. He might even get a seat in cabinet to make things sweet for him. We'll keep a tab on that story for you.